Yeah, what's up guys, and welcome to a brand new video over on SoRare. Now in today's video, what we're going to do is we are going to talk about the problems with there potentially not being Underdog and Specialist next weekend, or them changing the requirements. As always, if you guys are interested in signing up to SoRare, there is a referral link down below. Once winning 5 cards on the bidding market, you will receive a free tradable limited card. Don't overpay to get this free tradable limited card. It's only worth between about £2 to £7. On top of that, you do have to be 18 to play SoRare because it is real life money, and that real life money can be lost as well as it can be made. The reason I bring up a topic that may scare some people, especially if they start investing pre, is because we don't actually know what these game weeks are going to entail. Now, previous game weeks, we knew what was coming because of this game week calendar that showed us 260, obviously 262, and 258 was released on the day of this announcement. But, so, you know, we had confidence that, okay, yes, I'm going to go and buy my Underdogs, going to go and buy my cards as Specialist, and they're going to be needed next week. And we knew the exact requirements. You know, the Underdogs was always under, well, it was under 40 there, we could scroll down 2 more, and it was under 40 there, and the same with that. But the problem with this is that we don't actually have the schedule for 264. Which means, again, like, we can go off the presumption that they'll keep it the same. But it's going off a presumption, and obviously when there's money at risk, presumptions get a little bit risky, a little bit harem-scarum. Now, we will know what the requirements are as of this weekend, game week ending. So, as of the game week of 262 ending, we will know what the requirements are, because game week 263 will end, and then you'll be eligible to submit teams to 264. So, we'll know as of Monday. But by Monday, a lot of the investments are already quite inflated, to put it politely. So then it just gets on to basically a slight gamble. Now, what we've seen is obviously, we've seen during the weekend, it was Underdog with a score of 40, and during the week we scored an Underdog of 50. Now, the reason this occurs is because obviously less people play midweek than they do play on the weekend. You know, it could be like Champions League, Europa League, or maybe just some more of the minor leagues. Because a lot of the Bundesliga, Liga, and SoRare, so on and so on, top 5 leagues are all playing on the weekend. And as a result of them all playing on the weekend, you know, there's less weeks midweek and smaller pool of players. Smaller pool of players means they have to open up the floor to the Underdog. So right now we've got the J League and the K League, and of course they run over the summer, but right now those 2 leagues are on hold because of the Asian Champions League. MLS is going as a normal, Brazil is going as a normal, Argentina is going as normal, Mexican League is going as normal, Peruvian League, I believe, is going on as normal. Now, the SoRare has got another month of it. So because they're going to make the calendars for basically the next month, what they might start allowing you to do is start using a broader rating, aka the under 50. Because we've only got, you know, about 4 or 5 more weeks of the SoRare, 4 or 5 more weeks of the Prem. Obviously, we've only got another 3 or 4 weeks of the Bundesliga. Then we've got the Liga, that again is on for another 4 weeks. We've got the La Liga, that's on for another 4 weeks. Russian Prem, 4 weeks. Austrian Bundesliga, that will wrap up in about 3 weeks' time. Obviously, with them doing the the relegation and the champions. Then we've got the Eredivisie. Now again, a lot of Eredivisie teams have, you know, they're playing very infrequently right now because they're catching up with games. Portuguese League, that's only got 4 weeks to go. Turkish Super League, you know, the same as the Prem, whereas it's got another 4 weeks to go. And then we've got the Scottish League and the Danish League. And obviously right now the Belgian Pro League, the majority of teams aren't playing in that because obviously they're doing the playoffs for Champions League and Europa League right now. So yeah, basically the amount of games are really starting to dwindle down. And, you know, especially over the next 2-3 weeks, we're going to see it dwindling down a lot. So what they might start doing is start, again, setting us up with the L50 for the Limited and the Underdogs. Now, it isn't the end of the world if they do go and do this. The only problem is your cards won't really be that relevant. Because if they go from allowing you to use an L40, L15, sorry, or 40 to an L15 of 50, if you've got a really good deal, well, that deal might be good for an L15 under 40, but as soon as you go to an L15 under 50, that might just be very run-of-the-mill and next to worthless. For example, if I go and look at a player that has a L5 above 50, but an L15 below 40, we can see that some of these guys have great value. You know, this guy's gone from like £8 to £20. Previously, this guy's gone from £4 to £15, and so on and so on. You know, it's going from £25 and was up at 40 earlier. But if they go and change this from 40 to 50, right now there are 13 players that fit under it. Well, if we go increase this to 50, what are we going to be looking at? 13 to 266. So you see how, you know, they're a big fish in a small pond, but then the pond's having a massive extension, and now they're just, you know, one of many in the pond. So if this happened, what would you want to do? Now, you'd want to make investments that fit the next criteria. So what you do is I'd go into game week 264, I'd go, obviously, maximum 50, but rather than this being 50, what I'd want to see is, what's the top 10% then? Or, sorry, what's the top 1%? So we go move this to 60, which in theory is the equivalent of the last one. I'd probably go look at these, 23 players, and then you scout out the cheap ones. What's the highest we're seeing here? We're seeing 68s, 69s, but obviously it doesn't exist. We've got 67s, but he's quite expensive. 67, but he's quite expensive. 67, but he's quite expensive. You'd probably be looking at something like this guy right here. This guy's pulled in like a 68. L15 is looking really good. And yeah, I could imagine there'll be a decent bit of demand for him. He is a defender. We know that obviously defenders are normally quite saturated. Yeah, I mean, look at that. All of these are defenders. We've got midfielder there. Probably maybe go with this guy because he's a midfielder and there aren't many. Defender. He'd be a really good value for money. Midfielder. Again, he'd be relatively decent value for money. Again, another midfielder there. Very expensive right there. Oh, it's Theater, obviously plays in this area. Yeah, wouldn't be bad there. £9 there. Very expensive there, but that is a goalkeeper given. Defender. Forward. What's crazy, he actually is the only forward that pops up. That's kind of crazy though, if you increase that. What if I go down to a 55? Let's have a little look. When you go position forwards. Let's take all these out. And we go search. Obviously, they're going to play this week, so this isn't like the final scores. There you go. If you lower it a little bit, you're going to get a few more forwards popping in at 59, 58, but again, the reason you don't see many forwards popping in is mainly because of decisives. Obviously, decisives are going to mean you're going to have a score of 60, which if you're getting them consistently, that means your L15 is going to, you know, be above 60, not below 60. So yeah, that is what I would do. If they go and like change the requirements of the limited or the underdog to 50, just go for these and go and find the players where there's a lack of players in a certain position, or they're very, very good value for money. Now, what will happen with your existing cards if they go and, you know, put this requirement in? I'll be honest, because there potentially will be a lot of traders in them, you will see some pretty heavy panic selling. Just because all these traders have the exact same thing. It's not to use them. They're not going to hold on to these cards. They're going to get rid of them because they understand that these cards aren't of value. So, as I say, the risk in it is that as soon as we know that the requirements have changed, they're probably going to crash in price. Obviously, the benefit is that we've had the same requirements over and over again. I mean, when SoRare made the most recent announcement, the whole point was that they're adding new leagues in. I don't think they're going to make an announcement saying they're going to add new leagues in, only then to take away those leagues. Obviously, they can do whatever they want, but you know, I think the more risk is that they change the requirements of the leagues, because leagues are ending. Obviously, again, Asia's off right now on a break. Or what they'll do is they'll lower the amount of rewards. I don't think that'll affect it too much because, you know, I don't think people look into the rewards too much when it comes to the cheap tournaments like Limited and Underdog. But again, it could just be a factor that affects your players rising. So you do want to be pretty careful when it comes to investing. I think that's kind of wraps it up in terms of just what I want to say. Basically, I just want to give a little bit of caution to anyone investing this week in Underdog. I will create content over this weekend for Underdog and Limited, but obviously you just got to take everything with a pinch of salt, because there is a chance it might not be needed. And let's say you go buy inflated 20% and they go, well, actually, guys, we're changing the requirements up. They'll go down in price, especially if they're inflated from the week before because of the, you know, the current tournaments. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow where we'll cover the first investments of the week for Underdog and Limited.